Hey guys, what's up, Wolfgang. So I just finished my AP psychology class today. I had my last class for it because I had my final project for it today. This is that project. I had the ability to present it up in front of the class, which I did. That was a lot of fun, but I had so much fun doing it, I figured I would do it again for YouTube, for you guys. So let's get into my my AP psychology final project, where I have to explain how 10 different songs connect to a psych concept, which also connects to my life. Like, I have specific personal experience with that psych concept because of the song, or the song expresses that psych concept really well. Let's get that started. So first of all, we have The Blacker the Berry by Kendrick Lamar. So this song obviously represents prejudice and discrimination against African Americans. So I had already known about the discrimination that was going on. Obviously, like, I logically knew about it, and I knew the facts about it, but I didn't understand the emotional connection, and I didn't really like it didn't really resonate with me. But when I listened to this album, and especially this song, then the modern day current issues, I really started to understand them, because they hadn't really been expressed in any other work of art I've ever heard before until I heard this album. I have a timestamp from the song here that represents this especially well.
I try to celebrate February like it's my B-day, or eat watermelon chicken and Kool-Aid on weekdays, or jump high enough to get Michael Jordan endorsements, or watch BET cause urban support is important. So why did I weep when Trayvon Martin was in the street? When gang banging make me kill a nigga blacker than me? Hypocrite.
So again, I did know about the modern day prejudice and discrimination that was happening to African Americans, but I didn't understand the full extent of how deep it ran, or how it felt to be on the receiving end of that, until I heard this album. That really helped it to, like, resonate with me, and, like, you know. So after that, we have Serve the Servants by Nirvana. This is representative of the entire album as a whole. So when I first listened to this album, I hadn't heard any real noise rock before it or anything like that. So I heard this screechy, raw, messy, kind of gross sounding album, and I did not understand it, because that's not, you know, the kind of music that I normally listen to. But over time, I grew to understand this album just by listening to it more and more. It made more sense to me because of that. So this is an example of the mere exposure effect, where by just consuming something more and more without actually changing your perception, you slowly warm up to it more until the point where you eventually like it, just because you've consumed it enough times. Let's give this opening riff a listen here, this opening guitar hit. This is what I was first exposed to when I first heard the album. Yeah, so I never heard any noise rock before it or anything like that. So because I'm autistic, like, that, like, physically hurt my ears to listen to, because the thing in the autistic person's brain that connects, like, sound signals to the actual pain part of the brain in an autistic person's brain. But over time, I grew to really like this album. This is one of my all-time favorites right here. So it's just because of the mere exposure effect that I listened to it long enough that it became that. Next off, we have Space Oddity by David Bowie. So for a very long time, this used to be my favorite song of all time. This was the song that, like, when I listened to this song at the age of 12, I had one of the most transcendent music listening experiences I've ever had in my entire life. Like, I felt as if I was being visited by the cosmos directly, that was talking to me through this song, because it was so gorgeous and so beautiful, and the lyrics were so meaningful, and it was just fantastic. So I didn't want to admit that it wasn't my favorite song anymore, because, you know, it was a song that touched me like no other song then had. I especially, doubly so, didn't want to admit that it wasn't my favorite David Bowie song anymore, because when I heard Heroes, I liked that one more in the end. But over time, I did grow out of my my confirmation bias, the notion that it's my favorite song because it is my favorite song. I said so. I'm right, you know? I can't be wrong. I grew out of that notion, and while Space Oddity is still a beyond 10 out of 10 song for me, one of the greatest songs I've ever heard in my entire life, still, it's not even my favorite Bowie song anymore. Let's go to my favorite timestamp on it.
Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door. The stars look very different today.
Alright, yeah. Next off, we got Pagan Poetry by Purk. That's the Icelandic pronunciation. If you could believe it, I used to go on dates back in my day. I used to do that. That's kind of crazy to me to think about now. But, when I would do that, sometimes when I would go on these dates, I would have moments where I was just so overwhelmed with, like, love, and, like, not even just overwhelmed with love, like, to the point where I couldn't think anymore, because I would just look at them and my brain would just shut off. I would not be able to think anymore because of the influx of, like, joy that I felt upon seeing them. I found out this is due to oxytocin, the hormone in the brain, the love hormone. It's also responsible for, like, if you're a mother, how you feel looking at your child, or if you have any pets, like, how it feels to look at your pet sometimes. Like, sometimes if I see my cat just laying there on the floor, I'll actually go, oh my gosh, kitty cat, hi kitty! I will actually do that, and I don't mean to do that because I don't want to be, like, annoying about it, but that's just the way my brain works, is, I don't know, I feel a lot of oxytocin, and, this song is, while this song doesn't sound like oxytocin, this is the greatest, like, way that feeling has been, like, written out through song, like, the greatest, I guess, poetic way of writing out how that feels in a song form, and, like, the way that Purk expresses just this pure love is, like, magical. Like, it sounds like a Disney movie almost. I'm gonna go to my timestamp here.
Makes me want to hide myself.
If you could believe it, my psych class didn't really like Purk when I showed them. Next off, we got Weezer. I don't go on dates anymore, but I do still listen to Weezer. Back in my day, I used to be a lot bigger into Weezer than I am now, but I would do karaoke, right? And I would sing Weezer at karaoke, of course. This is a song that I remember in particular from singing karaoke. I would always do songs from the Blue Album, and this was, like, I think, a standout choice for me. The thing about doing karaoke, right, is that they have the little screen, and so you have to face away from the audience to be able to read the screen and read the lyrics on the screen. But I didn't, because I knew all the songs by heart. I didn't need to have to look at the lyrics to be able to know the lyrics, because I knew them. So I was able to give the audience a more engaging performance than if I were looking back here at the words and having to, you know, say it backwards, you know, the sound coming this way and the audience facing this way. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So because of my recall in knowing the words and my recognition in hearing the song, I was able to, you know, sing the lyrics in front of everybody without having to look at the teleprompter. We don't need a snippet here, but we're gonna play it anyway. Yeah, okay. Next up, we got, Good Morning Captain by Slint. This is one of my favorite, songs that I included here. Not because I like the song, but because I got to throw shade at Slint. And I thought that was really funny. I thought the fact that I got to throw shade at this man for my AP Psychology final was really funny. So this is one of the highest rated albums on, like, pretty much any album rating service you go to. It's gonna be, like, top 100, oftentimes top 50, and, like, pretty much any website you're on. And for me, that album is mid, and I don't like it very much, and I only remember the first and last tracks. I forgot to explain the Psych concept here. So the serial positioning effect states that people tend to remember the first and last things in a sequence of things to remember. They remember the first thing because it immediately gets converted into long-term memory, and they remember the last thing because of the recency effect. And this is the last track here. I included this specifically because, first of all, I heard the first track a couple more times because it goes on my, like, YouTube radio sometimes, but also I included it because I get to throw shade at this part in particular. This is the last note that they leave you on with the album. This is what they end their artistic masterpiece on. This is the generational once in a lifetime album right here. Yeah, I don't really like that album. Anyway, Cocteau Twins, Pitch the Baby. When I listened to this album, also because it's popular. I didn't know anything about it, and for the first half of the listening experience, I literally did not know that the songs were not in English. because they were just said in such a gorgeous way with the beautiful backing instruments and the rich textures and the gorgeous voice of the singer. I literally didn't even realize that they weren't saying words at all. They were just using English phonemes, I think is how you pronounce that word. Bonus double feature also, the fact that they're using phonemes to sound like English is also reference to infant babbling, when they babble sounds that sound like English sounds but aren't actually words or meaningful things. The fact that the song is called Pitch the Baby references that was not actually intentional. I only went with this song because, it's my favorite on the album, but it also happens to work out well for me. Let's go to that timestamp. Next up, we got Candy by Ween. This counts as a Psych concept because this song operates on a variable time interval. So in psychology, there are 4 different, I don't remember exactly what they are, but they're 4 different, ways of receiving rewards. One example is a fixed time interval, where after every, say, 20 seconds, you get a treat from the researcher, right? So that's fixed, and it's on a time interval. Or there's a fixed ratio schedule, which is, I think, after every 5 good behavior, you get a treat from the researcher. So then there's the variable time interval, which is when things happen after a random amount of time. And that's what happens in this song. This is not a song, this is a piece. And that's what happens in this piece. Let's go to just, I don't, fucking here. Let's go here. I should go here. You can hear how the different, like, parts of the synth just kind of happen randomly without any specific musical reason to be doing so. I think that's really funny. This is actually not my favorite Ween song. They have a couple other songs I like a little more. Next off, we got My Warm Blood by the Microphone. So here's the thing, right? The first 35 seconds of the song are some of, like, my favorite seconds in all of music history. Like, they remind me of why I love listening to music, because I get overwhelmed with the sense of, like, beautiful human emotion expressed through just the medium of sound is able to convey such a human truth that I just find transcendently gorgeous. The next minute of this song is one guy and his acoustic guitar playing 3 chords, and his voice sounds like shit, and the guitar sounds like shit, and you can hear the white noise in the background of the tape recorder he was using. And then the next 8 minutes of the song are silence with a very distant bell low hum in the background. So, you know, 3 very different parts of a song here, resulting in 3 very different opinions on this song, but it's all the same song. So if you were to ask me what my opinions are on My Warm Blood by the Microphones, I would not be able to give you an answer, because I have such a cognitive dissonance when it comes to the track. That's the psych term, by the way, cognitive dissonance, that I'm not able to actually answer you what I think about the song, because I don't know, because there's no way of knowing. I think the only way to properly convey this is to play, like, about a minute of it, if not a little more. I'm gonna be right back real quick.
It's dark, the sun went down.
And then let's just skip to here. And that's the entire rest of the 9-minute song. Okay, great. So I have some pretty conflicting opinions about that track, to be quite honest with you. So that's the cognitive dissonance I feel. Finally, it's gonna be Sometimes by My Bloody Valentine. So here's the thing, right? I hate my job. If you know enough about my YouTube channel, you know I've already expressed that through my, 3.5-hour album. Sometimes after a particularly bad shift, I want to go home and roll up into a ball and cry. I don't do that, but I want to. The thing is, that's my id telling me that I want to do that, but I don't do that because I'm a big strong man. Oh yeah, big strong man. So I don't do that. I try to repress the bad memories, like any specific bad memories of my shift, and then ignore how I'm specifically feeling, like what my emotions are, just kind of ignore them. When I listen to this album, though, and especially this song, I feel reminded about all of the misery and the melancholy and the hopelessness that I feel after a particularly bad shift, and all of that gets displaced and projected onto this song. It gets, like, my feelings get, displaced here, and I'm able to project myself into the point of view of the band when they were making the album, and, like, just this whole idea of being, like, a depressed, hopeless, loveless being, basically. We're gonna go to the timestamp. Alright, that's everything. That was my product. Sorry the video is, oh my god, it's 20 minutes long. Okay, I'm gonna trim some of it, obviously, but like, oh my god, wow, okay. Yeah, I was a little worried that I wasted everybody in class's time. I didn't realize I wasted 20 goddamn minutes of their time. Jesus Christ.